Om. 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 Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurudeva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trilokyam Sacharacharam Tat Padam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhusha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Howard, where are you? Hi. I didn't come in. Have you met Michael? Howard, Michael Howard.
Sorry, Jim, I'm late.
Well, we won't dock your pay. Where are we in our text?
So we're in the middle of chapter 13, and it's the questioner asking, is it the unknown?
Aya.
Do you have it?
Yep.
All right, go.
Questioner. Is it the unknown? Maharaj. It is both. It is beyond both the known and the unknown. But I would rather call it the known rather than the unknown.
So let's stop there. So this is the paradox of the scripture's description. The self cannot be known through the known instruments of perception. You cannot see, hear, taste, touch, smell, emote, or think yourself. The self is not an object. If you can see it, if you can know it, if you can cognize it, that isn't it. It is beyond subject-object cognition. Then it must be unknown. No. It's always knowable. How do you know you are you? You are not unknown. You do not see, hear, taste, touch, smell, emote, or think yourself. Yet you are not unknown. How do you know it? Scripture gives us two terms. Swayambhu, self-evident. The self is its own means of knowledge. Swayam Jyoti, self-effulgent, self-luminous, self-evident. I'm me. Always there, shining as Aham. The great cosmic joke. Everybody already has it. When are you ever not you? Any thoughts on this? Going on.
For whenever something is known, it is the real that is known. Questioner, is silence an attribute of the real? Maharaj, this too is of the mind. All states and conditions are of the mind. Questioner, what is the place of samadhi? Maharaj, not making use of one's consciousness is samadhi.
So again, a reminder, when he says consciousness, he means the various states of the mind, states of the chitta, or the word that he uses, chaitanya. So what is samadhi? So we have the prakasha, the light of pure awareness. And we have vimarsha, deliberation, the movement of any kind of victi thought. Any time the mind is free from vimarsha, that is samadhi. And in fact, people have fleeting samadhis all the time. Oh, I spaced out. Now, sometimes it means my mind started thinking of things that are not here in the vyavahara, corporeal reality. But sometimes the mind just stops because of fatigue or shock. But the problem is, if the attentive faculty is focused outward, when the mind stops, nothing there. When the mind returns, what do you realize? Whatever was in front of you before. So we have to have that introversion of the attentive faculty. So when the mind disappears and then it returns, it has the inside. There's nobody there. This aha, this pratyabhijnanam, this recognition. Swamiji used to say, depth of meditation is more important than length of meditation. In the mind. Best example I like to use is, here we are in the middle of the day, and you hear the traffic going by Grand Avenue. Sometimes there's more cars, sometimes there's fewer cars. But there's always some sound of traffic. That is like the mind for most of us as we move through the day. There's some thoughting going on. But if I'm sitting here at 3 o'clock in the morning, one car, the sound will arise out of silence, it will go by. So also as we thin the mind, you begin to see a thought arise out of silence. It exists and then goes back into silence. And there's space between the thoughts. In that space between the thoughts, with the attentive faculty, introverted, turned within, notice, who is it who knows the thought and the space between the thoughts? See if you can find a person there. Nothing there. Yeah, it's not no thing. It's full of me. So that is how we resolve this scriptural statement that it is not knowable by the known instruments of perception, yet it is not unknown. So whenever I come across somebody who says, oh, I dropped acid 20 years ago and I had a realization of the self, everything merged, it was just marvelous, oh, it was so great, but I lost it. I'm trying to get back there. What they're saying is they had a mind state. Not a mind state. It's that which illumines all mind states. And when the mind is gone, still there. Any thoughts on this? Going on.
Not making use of one's consciousness is samadhi. You just leave your mind alone. You want nothing, neither from your body nor from your mind. Chapter 14.
Let me finish that little thing. One of the traps is to make samadhi another object of desire. And the jonesing for samadhi is in itself kartavya, struggle. And that keeps samadhi away. That's like, I'm going to stomp on the head of my shadow. And you keep running to try to stomp on the head of your shadow. The more you run, guess what happens to the head of your shadow? It's always so far away. Samadhi becomes available with the cessation of all strife. All right, going on.
Chapter 14. Appearances and the reality. To take appearance for reality is a grievous sin and the cause of all calamities. You are the all-pervading, eternal, and infinitely creative awareness, consciousness.
So we talked about this in the Saturday morning class. Our philosophical definition of reality, I call it reality with a big old capital R. That which is never subject to negation. That which always is. So if it has non-existence in the beginning and a apparent existence in the middle, and then subsequent non-existence in the end, it's just imagination. And that describes the entire phenomenal world without exception. The phenomenal world is quite unreal, and the proof of its unreality is I can see it. If it is knowable, cognizable, perceivable in any way, it is Chaitanya, it is Chitta, it is Sankalpa, it's imagination. But you are Nityam, eternal. You are always there. And you never change. You're safe. You're always absolutely safe. Don't worry. Going on.
You are the all-pervading, eternal, and infinitely creative awareness, consciousness. All else is local and temporary. Don't forget what you are. Questioner. Repeatedly you have said that events are causeless. A thing just happens and no cause can be assigned to it. Surely everything has a cause or several causes. How am I to understand the causelessness of things? Maharaj, from the highest point of view, the world has no cause. Questioner.
Let's stop a second. So we have to understand from what level we are talking. From the standpoint of what we call vyavahara, doing business, transaction. Of course we have cause. If I turn the light switch, the light goes on, cause and effect. If you put gas in the car goes drive, drive, drive. If you lose the keys, you can't lock the door, cause and effect. If you get caught in traffic, cause you're going to be late for class, cause and effect. So on the relative level, of course there's cause and effect. But what Maharaj is talking about, I like to use the example of flying in a dream. Who's had a flying dream? Okay. What was the cause of your ability to fly in the dream? Something caused you would, and off you went, right? So the cause in the dream of being able to fly seemed as real as turning the light switch. But upon awakening, I see no cause and effect themselves are just ideas. Now, why is this so incredibly important? So, in all religions and cultures, we have the recorded evidence of great sages and saints doing things that defy our understanding of physics. So we have great yogis who are able to, I'm thinking of Satya Sai Baba, who used to be able to make vibhuti come out of his hands. Bring acorns, you go like that and give people trinkets. Then you go to Lourdes, and the grotto at Lourdes is filled with crutches of people who went to Lourdes and were healed. Anybody remember the psychic surgeons from the Philippines? You don't hear about them much anymore. Do you remember those, Howard?
I know.
They would literally stick their hands in people's bodies. You know, they would do psychic surgery. Just really weird stuff. Is it sleight of hand? Is it all illusory? Or are they using laws that are subtler than our physical? Starting from the middle of the 19th century up until today, there's a whole spiritual system in the West. It's very popular in the United States, largely promulgated by women, of spiritual mind healing. You had Christian Science, divine science, religious science. You've got teachers like Louise Hay, Terry Cole Whitaker, Mary Baker Eddy. Maybe you've done some of this work. Maybe you have friends who are into manifesting. Who's got friends who are doing that? You know, they do visualizations and affirmations to get what they want. It does work to some degree. And it all goes back to this truth that there's no real phenomenal cause and effect. It's all just belief systems. That's all it is. So what Maharaj is saying is, now Genesis is taking place. And in the next moment, now Genesis is taking place. There's just the illusory appearance of the past being caused to the now. It really is newly born at every moment. There is no past other than memory. And memory itself occurs in the now. In the Christian tradition, you have the saying, all things are possible with God. Incredible truth to it. So the idea here is don't get attached that things must be unfolding in a particular cause effect way. You never know what the Lord has in store. And out of nowhere, how did Werner Erhard used to say it? An idea whose time has come just springs into the group mind. Everything changes. Any thoughts on this? Did you have a thought, Michael?
No scratching.
Scratch away. Next one, next idea.
From the highest point of view, the world has no cause. Questioner, but what is your own experience? Maharaj, everything is uncaused. The world has no cause. Questioner, I am not inquiring about the causes that led to the creation of the world. Who has seen the creation of the world? It may even be without a beginning, always existing. But I am not talking of the world. I take the world to exist, somehow. It contains so many things. Surely each must have a cause or several causes. Maharaj, once you create for yourself a world in time and space governed by causality, you are bound to search for and find causes for everything. You put the question and impose an answer. Questioner, my question is very simple. I see all kinds of things, and I understand that each must have a cause or a number of causes. You say they are uncaused from your point of view. But to you, nothing has been, and therefore the question of causation does not arise. You seem to admit the existence of things, but deny them causation. This is what I cannot grasp. Once you accept the existence of things, why reject their causes? Maharaj, I see only consciousness and know everything to be consciousness, as you know the picture on the cinema screen to be but light. Questioner, still, the movements of light have a cause. Maharaj, the light does not move at all. You know very well that the movement is illusory, a sequence of interceptions and colorings in the film.
So let me see if I can be more specific with that. If you watch a movie and in the movie there's a car crash, did the crumpled car, was it caused by another car crashing into it? Was it? Yes, no?
From the perspective of the movie.
But you're sitting there in the audience. Was there any car crash? No. There's the illusion of cause and effect, but it's not real. Seen but not real. This is what we want to look at. Seen but not real. Constantly meditate on the dream-like nature of the phenomenal world. Brahma Satyam, Brahman alone is real. Jagan Nitya, the Jagan, the creation, is illusory. What's really here? Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. All this is verily Brahma. And I brought out the crystal ball this past week again. That is Spatika Ghanam, a homogeneous mass of quartz crystal. Yet you can see images in it. Are there really any images in the crystal? I cannot cut open the crystal and pull them out. Does the crystal cause any real images? It's not like a cow having a calf. And out comes the images. No. Seen, but not real. Now, here's the grooviest of all images. So in the 4th chapter of the Gaudapada Karika, we have the Alata Shanti section. What does Alata Shanti mean?
Quenching of the firebrand.
Yeah. So I update it. I call it circle in the sparkler. So on Diwali, 4th of July, do they have a holiday in Australia where they play with firecrackers and sparklers?
Yeah,
What is it?
Australia Day sometimes.
Okay. So you've got the sparkler and it's nighttime. The tip is lit. So I'm making a circle. You can see the circle. I can make a figure eight. You can see the figure eight. Yeah, I'm making a circle. Now, what I want you to do, Oddity, is grab the circle and you can use it as a little crown or a hula hoop. Will that work?
No,
Why not?
the circle is seen, but it's not really big.
Yeah. Now, this is what's so groovy. The subtle intellect is not a thing, it's an event. It is like the circle in the sparkler. Now, the difference is the circle in the sparkler has no inherent powers or qualities. But thoughting happens. And there's this thing called the subtle intellect, which then manifests properties like a prism, which then can manifest an entire phenomenal world. Just like the circle in the sparkler, it's not really there. This is why the scriptures say, stop the mind and you stop the world. The world is the mind is the world. With my sparkler, I can make a circle, I can make a figure eight. I have a gloom and doom world, everything is terrible. Oh, it's a beautiful world. All just thoughting. So just because the mind intellect, the chitta, is inherently illusory, does not mean it's not powerful. And we prove it every night when you have a dream. You have a vivid dream. Anybody dream last night? Howard, was it you?
Yes,
What'd you dream?
I dreamt about. I had a recurring dream. In my dream, I realized, oh, this is something I've dreamed before, and it's here. And I've been wondering where it is, and it's back again. And I was talking to some people about trying to solve this problem.
Yeah. So it seemed very real to the dreamer. Although you knew it was a dream while you were dreaming, didn't you? Very strange. Very strange. Such is the mind. Such is the mind. We'll get the story in Yoga Vasishta. There's a king in his home, and this Mayavi comes in. That's an illusionist. He has peacock feathers and he whirls them. And all of a sudden, the king just sits there wide-eyed. What the king experiences, a horse comes into the hall, and the king gets on the horse and then goes out. And he's into this rural area, and there's a tree, and he reaches up and grabs a branch, and the horse just goes. We never hear about the horse again. And then he comes down, and he's hungry and thirsty. And this tribal woman comes, and he says, give me some food and drink. He says, I can't. I'm an outcast. He says, I don't care. I'm thirsty and hungry. She says, okay, I'll give you food if you marry me. Okay, I'll marry you. and he lives for 60 years, has children. It goes on and on and on. There's a famine and stuff like that. And at the end of it all, it's terrible tragedy. They all decide to immolate themselves because of the suffering. So he jumps on a funeral pyre, and then all of a sudden he's back in the hall as the king. Fantastic. This is the grooviest part. So he goes to that area of the kingdom where the tribal village was, and it's there. And he meets an old man who talks about the king who married the tribal woman 60 years ago. Wait a minute! You're mixing realities. Yes. We've had the story of Leela, who's been here for the story of Leela. We just finished in Yoga Vasishta. We have reality with reality with reality. It's all just doesn't mean it's bad. In fact, it's quite entertaining. But what's real with a capital R? What's our definition of reality?
Cannot be negated.
Yeah. Whatever the movie is, what is the common constant factor? I. Don't believe me. Don't believe Maharaj. Look to your own direct experience. In the midst of the worst catastrophe, cataclysm, tragedy, can you stop for a moment? Introvert the attentive faculty. Check out yourself. Oh, Jim, it was terrible. I went into meditation and I looked within, and the self became a little gray ball with wings. It never happens. I saw a little gray ball with wings. Okay, who saw it? Oh, I did. You weren't the little gray ball with wings. We must prove to our own mind its own fundamental reality. Going on. By the way, the guy with the peacock feathers turns out to be Lord Shiva.
Maharaj, I see only consciousness and know everything to be consciousness, as you know the picture on the cinema screen to be but light. Questioner, still the movements of light have a cause. Maharaj, the light does not move at all. You know very well that the movement is illusory, a sequence of interceptions and colorings in the film. What moves is the film, which is the mind.
Yes.
Questioner, this does not make the picture causeless. The film is there, and the actors with the technicians, the director, the producer, the various manufacturers. The world is governed by causality. Everything is interlinked. Maharaj, of course everything is interlinked, and therefore everything has numberless causes. The entire universe contributes to the least thing. A thing is as it is because the world is as it is.
So let's see if we can get an example of that. What is the cause of your body?
My parents.
No. a supernova. I'm not making this up. Your body has heavy elements in it, things other than hydrogen. Anything that exists in the universe that's other than hydrogen was formed by fusion in the guts of a star that then supernovaed and spread it all over the universe. You see what I mean by cause? What was the song from, I think it was the 60s? We Are Stardust. Anyway, who did that one? Was that Moody Blues?
Possibly.
Yeah. But you see what I mean? There are many causes. What caused the supernova? What was the cause of the star, the supernova? The Big Bang. Going on.
You see, you deal in gold ornaments, and I in gold. Between the different ornaments, there is no causal relation. When you melt down an ornament to make another, there is no causal relation between the two. The common factor is the gold, but you cannot say gold is the cause. It cannot be called a cause, for it causes nothing by itself. It is reflected in the mind as I am, as the ornament's particular name and shape, yet all is only gold. In the same way, reality makes everything possible, and yet nothing that makes a thing what it is, its name and form, comes from reality. But why worry so much about causation? What do causes matter when things themselves are transient? Let come what comes and let go what goes. Why catch hold of things and inquire about their causes? Questioner. From the relative point of view, everything must have a cause. Maharaj. Of what use is this relative view to you? You are able to look from the absolute point of view. Why go back to the relative? Are you afraid of the absolute? Questioner. I am afraid. I am afraid of falling asleep over my so-called absolute certainties. For living a life decently, absolutes don't help. When you need a shirt, you buy cloth, call a tailor, and so on. Maharaj. All of this talk shows ignorance. Questioner. And what is the knower's view? Maharaj. There is only light, and the light is all. Everything else is but a picture made of light. The picture is in the light, and the light is in the picture. Life and death, self and non-self. Abandon all these ideas. They are of no use to you. Questioner. From what point of view do you deny causation? From the relative, the universe is the cause of everything. From the absolute, there is no thing at all. Maharaj. From which state are you asking? Questioner. From the daily waking state, in which alone all these discussions take place. Maharaj. In the waking state, all these problems arise, for such is its nature. But you are not always in that state. What good can you do in a state into which you fall and from which you emerge helplessly? In what way does it help you to know the things that are causally related, as they may appear to be in your waking state? Questioner. The world and the waking state emerge and subside together. Maharaj. When the mind is still, absolutely silent, the waking state is no more. Questioner. Words like God, universe, the total, absolute, and supreme are just noises in the air because no action can be taken on them. Maharaj. You are bringing up questions which you alone can answer. Questioner. Don't brush me off like this. You're so quick to speak for the totality, the universe, and such imaginary things. They cannot come and forbid you to talk on their behalf. I hate those irresponsible generalizations. And you are so prone to personalize them. Without causality, there will be no order, nor will purposeful action be possible. Maharaj, do you want to know all the causes of each event? Is it possible? Questioner, I know it is not possible. All I want to know is if there are causes for everything, and whether the causes can be influenced, thereby affecting the events. Maharaj, to influence events, you need not know the causes. What a roundabout way of doing things. Are you not the source and the end of every event? Control it at the source itself. Questioner, every morning I pick up the newspaper and read with dismay that the world's sorrows, poverty, hatred, and wars continue unabated.
Gee, nothing has changed in 60, 70 years.
My questions concern the fact of sorrow, the cause, the remedy. Don't brush me off by saying that it is Buddhism. Don't label me. Your insistence on causelessness removes all hope of the world ever changing. Maharaj, you are confused because you believe that you are in the world, not the world in you. Who came first, you or your parents? You imagine that you were born at a certain time and place, and that you have a father and a mother, a body and a name. This is your sin and your calamity. Surely you can change your world if you work at it. By all means, work. Who is stopping you? I have never discouraged you. Causes or no causes, you have made this world and you can change it. Questioner,
So let's go into that. We can change things in many, many different ways. So I like to think in terms of the karma chakras, this enormous wheel. So if you want to move 45 degrees of arc and you're on the rim, that's a long distance. But what yoga says is the further down the spoke you go, the same degree of arc is less distance, less effort. And when you're at the hub of the wheel, it's just a shift. So there are those who seek to make change in the world of phenomena by pushing matter around. God bless them. So one of the things Maharaj doesn't overtly address. Yes, this world is like a dream. And there are some Mahatmas that just stand back and watch the show. There are others who are intuitively led to do some dream shaping. These are the tantrikas. Yes, the world is a dream, but it doesn't have to be a nightmare. But they're dealing with cause, which is always relative from the standpoint of the absolute. Always relative from subtler and subtler levels. So you may deal with cause and effect through medicine, through potions, through physical therapy, asana, this sort of thing. Or you may go to a healer who's dealing with mantras and gems. Or you may find a great Mahatma, and their grace alone is healing. One of my favorite stories from the Christian scripture. Jesus and the disciples were walking along the road, and a woman, they say, with an issue of blood, meaning she was hemorrhaging, probably from her vagina. And all she does is touch his robe, his garment. And what the Christian scripture says, Jesus stopped and turned around and asked, "Who has touched me?" For he had felt power go out of him. Isn't that an incredible story? So he was in such a full state of yoga that the woman's faith and desire, she just reached out. The Shakti came through. Not this, but so what's the implication of this teaching? The most powerful mind is the most quiet mind. Let go of the ego's needs. I want this so I can be happy. Be empty. And let your equipment be an instrument of Ishvara, divine will. And watch miracles happen in your life. You do nothing. Those of you who've done Buddhist retreats where they do the metta meditation at the end, who's done one of those? What is the metta meditation?
Loving kindness to all beings.
Yeah, essentially it's some form of may all beings be happy, may all beings be peaceful, may all beings be liberated. Do you do it at the beginning of the retreat?
It depends, but often the end,
Why do you think they do it at the end?
because your mind's quiet and you can radiate more effectively.
And it's just to make the meditator feel good? Is it?
It's a bit of both
Bit of both of what?
for the meditator and also the world.
Why is it good for the world? What's it do?
Subtle influence.
It's sankalpa. It's tantra. It's cause, which is unreal from the standpoint of the absolute, at a far more subtle level. It's not that I'm feeding people with USAID. There's nothing wrong with that. The very quiet mind. So Maharaj is talking about how all this is consciousness, Chaitanya. if we spend our day, the world is just terrible. What am I going to do about this? I'm so unhappy. I'm not getting my needs met. I tell you, the Lord answers every prayer with yes. So if that's the prayer of your heart, the Lord goes. Unhappiness, needs not met. But if, on the other hand, deeply rooted state of your mind is absolute oneness with everything, then like Ramana Maharshi, snakes and cows and monkeys come to you for your darshan. The self of the axe murderer and the self of Ramana Maharshi are the same. What's the difference? Chitta, Chaitanya. What's the term your teacher uses? Chitti Shuddhi?
Chitta Shuddhi.
Chitta Shuddhi, which means
Tranquil mind, clean mind, pure mind.
pure mind. Yeah. Very worldly example. If you've got a group of friends, somebody in your cohort says, oh, you know, I can't stand so and so. Just everything they do just annoys me. And you may say, oh, they're a little quirky, but you know, what's bugging you so much? Who's had that experience? What's the truth about that other person? Shunyata. They're void, they're empty, they're without quality. Just what our minds project. Or maybe you have a friend and they're just all worked up over some problem that you think, well, what are you getting so worked up over? Maybe the opposite is true. You or I are getting all worked up over something. And a friend says, why are you so upset about all that? It's no big deal. Who's had that experience? Nothing is either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Example I like to use. I don't know if they make them anymore, but in the old timey days, used to get these pasta machines, and you get the pasta dough, you put it in the top, and then it's got a die, and it can do lasagna, rigatoni, spaghetti, angel hair. Have you ever seen those things? You just change the die, and a different kind of pasta will come out. Anybody seen those pasta machines?
Mhm.
Yeah. So the dough is like Prakriti, Chitta. The die is my belief system. What comes out is my life. Now I have very sad news for you, or good news. There's no off switch. Maybe when you die, there's an off switch. Going on.
By all means, work. Who is stopping you? I have never discouraged you. Causes or no causes, you have made this world and you can change it. Questioner. A causeless world is entirely beyond my control. Maharaj. On the contrary, a world of which you are the only source and ground is fully within your power to change. What is created can always be dissolved and recreated. All will happen as you want it, provided you really want it. Questioner. All I want to know is how to deal with the world's sorrows. Maharaj. You have created them out of your own desires and fears. You deal with them. All is due to your having forgotten your own being. Having given reality to the picture on the screen, you love its people and suffer for them and seek to save them. It is just not so. You must begin with yourself. There is no other way. Work, of course. There is no harm in working. Questioner. Your universe seems to contain every possible experience. The individual traces a line through it and experiences pleasant and unpleasant states. This gives rise to questioning and seeking, which broaden the outlook and enable the individual to go beyond his narrow and self-created world, limited and self-centered. This personal world can be changed in time. The universe is timeless and perfect. Maharaj. To take appearance for reality is a grievous sin and the cause of all calamities. You are the all-pervading, eternal, and infinitely creative awareness, consciousness. All else is local and temporary. Don't forget what you are. In the meantime, work to your heart's content. Work and knowledge should go hand in hand. Questioner. My own feeling is that my spiritual development is not in my hands. Making one's own plans and carrying them out leads nowhere. I just run in circles around myself. When God considers the fruit to be ripe, he will pluck it and eat it. Whichever fruit seems green to him will remain on the world's tree for another day. Maharaj. You think God knows you? Even the world he does not know. Questioner. Yours is a different God. Mine is different. Mine is merciful. He suffers along with us.
Always a Christian.
Maharaj. You pray to save one while thousands die. And if all stop dying, there will be no space on earth. Questioner. I am not afraid of death. My concern is with sorrow and suffering. My God is a simple God and rather helpless. He has no power to compel us to be wise. He can only stand and wait. Maharaj, if you and your God are both helpless, does it not imply that the world is accidental? And if it is, the only thing you can do is to go beyond it.
Is that the end of the chapter?
End of the chapter.
Okay, I think that's a good place to stop. So we always have to make sure we know from what level we're speaking. There's the Vishwa, the waking state world, where we have Vyavahara, transactions, where we have relative cause, where we even have metaphysical cause. All these things we've been talking about how Sankalpa causes things, is still in the world of the mind. Is the image in the crystal cause? Is there anything really? That's why in modern times it's so cool about virtual realities. Anybody ever put on any virtual reality goggles and earphones? Who's done that? Where did you do it?
At a friend's house.
The only time I've done it, they had a just thing on Ramses II at the De Young, and you were in these pods. Put on these goggles and earphones, and then the pods would tilt and stuff. So you would down in the tomb of Ramses and Tutmos II, and then up into the stars. They even had these, you'd see these braziers where there'd be incense and they'd shoot scent into the pods and smell it. But what was cool, you could look up and see the ceiling of the tomb, and then you moved your head to each side, you could see the walls, you looked down, you could see the floor. It seems so real. Did the one you have do the same thing?
Yeah.
It seems so
Yeah.
real. Or another one, Soundadia was in New York at this artistic display. And what it was mirrors on the floor and the ceiling and the walls. So you looked at the floor and it absolutely looked like you were going to fall down this regressus ad infinitum. And, you know, she, fear arose. She intellectually knew it was just a mirror on the concrete floor. You have to shut your eyes in order to step forward on it. The senses are so powerful. Getting the mind to believe. But there was no cliff that she was stepping into. There was no tomb in the Valley of the Kings that I was seeing. I don't know what your virtual reality is. That's all you see. It's a virtual reality. Largely determined by my belief system. Certainly its qualities are determined by my belief system. Something there is that's outside of this world. As Krishna says in the 9th chapter, I am not in them, they are in me. And in fact, they're not even really in me. Behold my divine Maya, the support. Take it easy. Don't sweat the small stuff. It's all small stuff. Don't believe your mind. Don't believe anybody else's mind. Well, what should I do? What's right in front of you? Right. About the future. All right. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari